Hey, welcome back to Evil's Comics. I'm Evil Mike. This is going to be my review on new comics released August 25th, 2021. Let's get straight into it. This is my last video, part 4. I have one more single review after this, but this is all the new comics that were released. First up, we have from Image and Top Cow, we have Syphon number 2. Very good issue. The art is amazing. We are progressing with the story. Our main character in the first issue recently got this power, and he basically can siphon emotions off of people. In the first issue is basically like negative emotions that he can take away from people, and when he does take away their negative emotions, they're kind of left in a happiness state. At the very end of the last issue, he was kind of greeted by somebody that said he was going through a similar situation. In the very beginning of the book, we are painted with a picture of a man that is in the desert, and he has enough equipment and food and stuff to make it through the desert on his journey. He encounters a stranger in the desert, surprisingly asking him for food and water. The eternal question comes up: do you, save the individual and share your food with him, or do you continue on your journey and allow him to suffer? The guy tells him that the correct answer would be to end the man's suffering, because if you shared his food with him, y'all both would end up dead because you couldn't complete the journey. If you left him there to die, he would just suffer in agony. So, basically it's stated to eliminate the other two options, basically to kill off the guy and, quit the agony part of it, put him out of his suffering. We are shown here where the two are talking, our main character and his new friend. His new friend is kind of showing him some powers and basically telling him that it's not just the negative emotions that he can siphon off, that he can siphon off of good energy as well. And he is shown right here a little taste of what that good energy can be. Our main character has like a huge trip on the good emotion. They show here at the bottom that he really gets into and he starts after seeing his friend do this, he goes off into the real world and starts siphoning off other random people's happy energy. It's shown that that after he takes their happy moments, that they're kind of left in like a mad state or angry or something like that, that it totally changes their mood. He kind of goes through where he is and kind of unleashes this amount of happiness, which everybody around him, also shares, and it also shows that he is able to heal his body while using this. We jump back to him and his girlfriend, and unfortunately his girlfriend is kind of tired of him going through all this and eventually leaves. We do see that he kind of is second guessing, and he goes back, second guessing the powers after learning that it takes, it changes people's moods and stuff like that after he takes the good from him. He goes back to the friend, and the friend basically tells him it's all in his mind, that, to play the part of the superhero per se, that you need to, dress the part. So he kind of, takes him out on the town. They do a lot of hanging out where he dresses him up. He gets massages, kind of takes character, more of the guy's character, his temple. He finally does take him to this nightclub where they meet this quarterback of the current Super Bowl winning team of a football team, and tells him that this guy has had an amazing, an emotional life, and tells him to just touch him and take a little. And in the process, he ends up getting greedy and takes too much, and there's this massive explosion at the club. He later wakes up in kind of a daze, and he ends up going back over to the friend's house, and it doesn't go as planned as it thought it would be. Basically, the guy tells him that, he felt like he was tricked, that, by touching that guy, that he knew that massive happiness explosion was going to happen. On the other effect, he found out after he woke up that the quarterback is now like in this catatonic state, deprived of emotion, because of our main character touching him and siphoning him off so much of his happy life. We do see here that it was kind of a part of the play, and the guy was betting on the quarterback, and our main character doesn't like that. He tears up his part of the winnings, and we quickly see that this guy is more of a villain than a frenemy type thing, because he ends up syringing our main hero. And next we see that he has woke up in like a basement type situation, kidnapped, and basically the villain saying that he is one of many that has acquired this power, and just like many others before him, they have failed the test, and he needs to kill them so the power can find someone else. So it looks like that's what we're going to find out in the next issue, if our main hero is able to escape the grasp of the new villain. But overall, it's a really good read. Next up from Image, we have Made in Korea #4, and man, if this wasn't one of my top picks for the week, this book, man, be warned, it touches on a lot of different states. We are catching up with the android that has with the perfect algorithm. She is like more closer to a human now than an android. But she has developed this friendship with these two guys, and we are finally trying to see what they had planned all along. There's something that I'd like to point out that I kind of forgot when reading this, that it is a little further in the future, and it seems like at this time, like guns and stuff like that have been kind of forgotten, that there's a peaceful time going on on the Earth. In previous issues, the android and the two guys broke into a military faction base and stole a bunch of weapons that were being kept up, and of course it was for the situation right here. They were going back to the school that they are from, and they show here in little notations, but this is an active school shooting. The two guys have opened up and started killing kids and teachers, and they show, they don't go into too great detail, but they do show like right here, bodies thrown out on the ground. And at this time when all this starts happening, our android main character starts freaking out, and she's kind of weirded out because she states here, these people are bleeding, we need to help them, this isn't what y'all told me. And we learn quickly right here that her two friends turn on her quickly and blast her in the face with the shotgun. We see the scene right here of her rebooting her system, the system trying to self-diagnose and also kind of try to piece back her diagnostic programs and stuff like that, her main programs to function on. She is able to reboot with some damage, as you can see right here, but she does not stay on the ground for too long. We see that the inventor of this perfect algorithm and the droid, her pseudo-father, is with her foster family and has explained that something is going on in the news, that she needs to turn on the news. And so they quickly go turn on the news and see that there is an event happening at their school. We do see that our android is going through the school, and as we see, using her superhuman power, and she is literally saving students that are hiding throughout the school. They do show on numerous occasions that she is finding teachers and students all throughout the school. They do show that the cops' reaction to all the hostages suddenly leaving the school. It almost turns into a bad situation where the cops are about to open fire on the hostages, and luckily some of the teachers chime in And but it does go on from there, where our said android does continue to find more students, stuff like that. We do catch up with our two bullies, or two ex-friends now, and they are terrorizing a teacher. Well, this is one of them, but he is terrorizing a teacher that he has found hiding. He starts leading the rest of the hostages out of the room, and we see that the android quickly finds him and like smashes him into the lockers. Basically, demanding that the hostages to move, out of where they are. She quickly, as he is all crunched up and possibly dying, into the lockers after being, Hulk smashed into the lockers, she asked, why he was doing this, and he basically just, they tells her to F off, and she reciprocates by ripping off his arms and quickly killing him. We catch up with the other would-be assassin, who is in the gymnasium, and he has like a ton of different students and teachers, as well as hostage, and we see that our android is at the top of the banisters, creeping around all kind of a ninja style, and she falls down from the ceiling, smashing his face into the ground. We do see that that she does some technique, like to make sure that he stops talking. I assume that she basically snapped his neck in a way that didn't kill him, because they do show at the very bottom that the police are escorting him out with a neck brace, on a stretcher. But I'm pretty sure he took a lot of damage from the fall. We do see that the creator and the foster parents are having a conversation, and basically the creator is saying that if the android comes back, that he can help her and re-diagnose her and feel her damage, fix her damaged parts. Basically, as he's leaving, he kind of goes out into the woods, and in Korean, the android reaches out from, like I said, woods, but she's more like in the shrubs and bushes next to the house, but reaches out to the pseudo father and actually asks him if she is his father, and he answers yes, and she says that she's ready to go back home. We see these scenes right here where he has concealed her in a bag because she is an android, and he goes back to, does this whole back to Korea trip. The last thing we see is him going back to Korea, and him getting with looks like his best friend, and they are starting to fix the android to her proper state. At the very end, there is this little side story that's called like Proxy Minutes, and this one specifically was just about what would happen if two normal people had their daughter cloned or something like that, and how it would be to see the android clone of your daughter, to react, to seeing that it was a good story, but it's very short. It's just those 2 little pages. Batman Superman from DC Comics number 21. This is the end of an arc, a very good story. We have been following the adventures of a 1930s Batman and Robin mixed in with a 1940s 50s Superman, also with like an 80s El Diablo, and some chick that's from like the Strange Adventures universe. She's from the planet Rand. They are basically in the thralls and of 2 different villains. It is Arturo Ivo, and Arturo Ivo is kind of like a god. He is able to mix and match different like film universes and take different pieces and take them into different films and stuff like that, including comics and stuff like all kind of media. But they show him right here in all his glory. But he has unleashed Estragon on Batman and Superman, and he's also given Estragon the power of Superman and Batman entrenched in like a crystal that he has. Estragon has broken into the Fortress of Solitude, and he has unleashed this army of Superman that Superman had just in case he was ever to fall. the it quickly turns out to this mass battle where Superman ends up having to destroy most of those droids. They quickly jump into the Fortress of Solitude, and for Batman and Robin, this is the first time for them, so a lot of it is Robin going out into, geek mode. We do see that Estragon is hiding in the Fortress of Solitude and has been waiting for Batman and Superman to show up. There are weapons in the Fortress of Solitude, and Estragon has handpicked one of them that is supposed to unleash like an apocalypse, but he needs the power of Superman. Of course, Arturo Ivo has given him the crystal, which holds a giant version of Superman and Batman inside. So he basically has to enact it, and it's this massive fight between Superman and Estragon. Eventually, it is Batman and Robin who eventually save the day because Superman is busy fighting Estragon. Estragon really doesn't see Batman and Robin as a threat, so Robin, overcoming his fear of seeing a real-life demon, kind of beats the heck out of Estragon, throwing a good punch, and is able to distract Estragon long enough for Batman to grab the weapon, Superman to take off with it, and they basically use that weapon to jump through to the film reel to where Arturo Ivo is. Once they get there, they kind of convince Estragon to team up with them and stop working for this B villain and become the A villain that he's supposed to be. He does unleash the power of the giant Superman and Batman, seen right here behind the purple mist. And the giant Batman and Superman start whooping town on Arturo Ivo and all his little minions. At the same time, giant Superman fixing a lot of the different film realms that Arturo Ivo was messing up. He does fix El Diablo's world and Rand's world. At the same time, while this is going on, giant Batman is able to digitally interface with Arturo Ivo's armor and finds out that it is virus ridden, and it is revealed that Arturo Ivo was basically like a virus, and this is what he really looks like. His armor had somehow taken over this entity, and we find out that his real name is actually the Observer IO. And Observer IO had said somehow messing with messing with the realms, the armor had took over him, creating the Arturo Ivo, and Arturo Ivo basically started messing with all the different worlds. They do show that the Observer IO has fixed most of the worlds, and some of them have allowed to intermix with each other. Like during the storyline, the woman from the space princess from the Rand universe kind of fell in love with El Diablo, and she kind of left her world to go, be in his kind of thing. They do show you that some things are still mixed up, that supposedly there is like a Bizarro Two-Face in Superman's world now, and that Lex Luthor seems to be like the main Batman threat in his world, so we'll have to see if they continue with that. There was also like an epilogue where they show somebody getting some of the secret power that Arturo Ivo was handling, being able to jump in between realms, not just multiverses, but in and out of the third, fourth, fifth dimension per se. But it does look a lot like it is Darkseid who is getting this power. And it does say the next issue is titled The Beginning. Last but not least, this is Dynmite Comics Vampirella issue number 23. I will have to warn you, it is a very sexy cover. Another side note is this is my second ever reading of Vampirella. My first was the free comic book day release, and it was a reprinted issue of number 1, which led me to buy this. Really, it was a cover buy, and kind of reading that first issue led me to looking inside and seeing that it was similar to the first issue. I was like, yeah, why not give it a try? And it was actually a very enjoyable and easy to read. Even though this is the 23rd issue, seemed like a good jumping on point. But we are still with the psychiatrist from the first issue. We know that Vampirella has been with the psychiatrist. I know from the first issue. And it seems like he is getting a visit by an FBI officer. We see here his name is I think his name is Mark, but later on Matt. But later on we find out he goes normally by Matty. But he goes into the psychiatrist asking to talk about Vampirella, and the psychiatrist really can't do that. But Matt reveals that the reason he wants to talk about Vampirella is he might be Dracula. Yes, that Dracula. And he kind of goes into the story about, how he thinks he might be Dracula. And he tells the story about like his great something grandfather, which is shown here, Shane, the first man, which has had previous encounters in the story already, because they mentioned maybe like issue number 20 where he spent like a year with Vampirella or something like that. But we do see that they are capturing Shane, the first man, at this, and this is a like past story that the detective is telling the FBI agent is telling, the psychiatrist. But he's basically telling them that they arrested this man named Shane, and he came in holding this picture of Matt as a very young boy. Matt being a foster child and raised by a foster family after his family had been, tragically, killed in an accident or something like that. But Shane, the first man, explains that his parent, that he knew his parents or something like that, and that they are related. We see very quickly that that when arresting Shane, the first man, that there was something odd about his weapon, and the cops are kind of like googly gawking at it, trying to figure it out. We quickly see that Shane has already escaped and quickly goes to showing him how to use it by quickly killing all the cops there. We do see that Shane quickly takes a whole group of bad guys to go find his great grandson or whatever it is, Matt, who happens to be in the same building. We see that he is quickly snagged by Vampirella and flown off. Matt at the time does not remember Vampirella, but supposedly they have met before, and it kind of breaks off into this other side story that Vampirella tells Matt at this moment. That and at the same time, this is Matt telling the psychiatrist. We do see that Shane, what happens to Shane, and he's basically chasing Vampirella with her wings. He basically jumps in a helicopter, and eventually Vampirella knocks the helicopter down, crashes, and Shane kind of swims away. It jumps into the story of Vampirella telling Matt about how they first met. We go back to Matt on a subway train when he was a little kid, and it looks like he was abandoned or running away. We don't really get the situation there. We just know that as he gets off the train that he is quickly abducted by a whole bunch of vampires, stating that he is the son of the Lord, the one that they cherish, Dracula. It is seen here that Vampirella at the time is working with the Scarlet Legion, and they are trying to kill off all forms of Dracula. Now, for those who don't know Vampirella, even though she is a vampire, she comes from, she is an alien, and supposedly her race are different from the vampires that Dracula spawned. We quickly see that most of the Legion and Vampirella herself take out most of the would-be vampires, and Vampirella quickly snags up Matt to secure and save him. After doing a blood swab, they do determine that he does have this virus that somehow can turn him into the Dark Lord Dracula, and the Scarlet Legion want to kill him. Vampirella quickly says that that's not going to happen, and she takes Matt into protective custody back to her apartment at the time. We run into this character here, who supposedly is like a werepanther. She turns into a panther at nighttime. I'm not familiar with her, but her name is Pantha. Panther kind of is quickly informed that, you know, this is the son, that this son here is Dracula, and he will grow up to be so, and that he needs to be protected, and Panther just makes kind of a little joke and this and that. As they are leaving to go somewhere, we see here that they are greeted by the Scarlet Legion, that they have been tracked down, and the Scarlet Legion has determined that Matt needs to die, whether Vampirella is going to stand in the way. So we will see where the fun continues after that. I will say, after reading this issue and that first issue, I am definitely going to add this in my pull list. So Vampirella fans, or fans that are new to Vampirella just like me, because I have seen Vampirella my whole life, and for some reason I've had this weird thing where I've been scared to read Vampirella, but honestly it was really good. Like, both issues I've read so far were really, really good. So I'm actually going to try to find as much Vampirella as I can. I'm really into first off, really hot women, but two, powerful, strong, female characters, right? That's big in the world, and actually Evil Mike has always been like that my whole life. Most of my favorite characters are very strong women. But hey, that's my reviews. Like, comment, subscribe, share. I will be back pretty soon. I have one more review on Darkhawk #1, and we'll get a single review, and that will be all my comics for this week. Bye, guys.